This is the NTCA Roundtable Live Artisan Edition, session number 5. We've been at this for 5 sessions. That means 5 whole months. And we're currently in a series of excellent education on templating for the tile artisan. Tonight's artisan that will be working with us and training us is the one and only Mr. Lee Callewaert. And I'm going to talk just a little bit more because I don't think our trainer Lee Callewaert is quite ready for us. There he is. Looks like he is. Let me go over that one more time. Lee Callewaert is joining us live this evening from Dragonfly Studios in Grafton, Wisconsin. Take it away, Lee.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us at Dragonfly. I'm glad to be able to do it in this format because I'm not a great orator. I'm a better hands-on guy in teaching and talking about these things. So this format works much better for me. The first thing we want to talk about, well, I think we're talking about design and different types of templating, ways to maybe cut some time in that process and get to fabrication, making your pieces more marketable, or maybe getting paid for more of the time you put into the pieces. Well, the first one is we use this plastic sheeting for our templating. It comes in different mills. One thing nice about it is it comes in 4x8 sheets. So if you have large format, if you have large format pieces that you're going to do, you don't have to tape it all together piece by piece. It comes in a big enough sheet to do it. Can you turn that, please? Oh. So when using this, we like to, can you see this? We always want to have a master copy. I do anyway. And a lot of the things I'm talking about are just my methods. There's different takes on different processes, different materials, different styles, whatever. This is just one more way. But yeah, you definitely want to have your master copy because there's a lot more little pieces that go in here. But once these are all just laying about, finding their spot is almost impossible. There's another.
Was that Jane, by the way?
We just did this one. This is Maria Meyer. I was going to introduce her and I got carried away. But once again, you want to have a master copy so you know where everything goes. In this case, yeah, the dress grew. This is just mounted temporarily on this motion paper because Jane didn't want me to install it yet. This motion paper is kind of cool stuff, though. It's actually slate, which is sliced from the slab, and they make it's pretty. It's thicker, but it's basically wallpaper. It's kind of a neat thing. I just have to show you this one. This, the snake I did. Many of you saw it. This is the snake in this box, that 12-foot snake. This was kind of a cool idea that Bruce or Kyle, one of the two, came up with. There were so many little pieces they were having trouble picking them up, so they glued little tiles. They glued tiles to the templates to make them easier to place and trace. So when they were tracing, they didn't have to tape it down. They didn't have to hold it down. They could just use the peg that they mounted onto the templates. Kind of a cool idea. that's the one that is most common. Before we go to the next one, I just want to show you one of the things we're messing with. Can you bring me the guitar? We're working on a project that is involving a lot of perspective work. So we're trying to come up with ways. Can you bring me the drawing and the template of getting these images, but the ones we want. So we drew a design on one of my guitars, not on the guitar. We made a template and then taped it to the guitar. Then we just took different pictures of it from different perspectives and found one that we kind of liked. So we took a picture of it, we printed it out, traced it. I don't know if you can see that. Here, wait, I have something. Traced it on the template material. Connected it and transferred it to our template. And I'll show you here a different method in how we're going to do this versus one way you can do this is taking where's that piece of template material that I just had on the floor over there?
Oh, okay.
Is taking the template material and just laying over the copy, the drawing. Tracing that, and then there's your template. But there are ways to make that a little quicker. So we're going to move on to the next one. So if anybody has any questions before we do, feel free.
Go ahead, everybody. You are able to unmute yourself. If you have a question for Lee, you can chime in or raise your hand if you'd like us to call on you, or you can enter your question in the chat screen and we'll bring it to Lee's attention.
Okay.
Lee, I have a question. This is Jim. So you took the guitar and you laid over it with your design and whatever. Are you just using that for the model, and then you're creating that picture, and you'll make that piece of artwork? Is that what you're going to do with that?
Yes. To get, I suppose you could go online and find different instruments. Can you bring over some more of those? But when you're trying to get certain perspectives, it's a hard thing to do. So what I did is a couple of the instruments are a mural artist I work with that paints murals, and he had a mandolin and he had a violin. So we took pictures of those and did some extreme perspectives of those. What is this? And there's the violin. And then my grandfather's clarinet. We took a picture of the same process. So we, instead of just finding images, it was kind of cool because now each image has a story behind it. And we were able to do the exact perspective that we wanted to with having the instrument.
We have a question from Paul Lucia. He's asking how durable does the template have to be? How long does it last? Do different tiles get different templates? Are there different templates for different tiles? How long does the template have to last? So how durable does it have to be?
It has to be durable just because it has to be somewhat rigid, for me anyway, so that when I'm tracing it, I can get a true image instead of the piece, the template flexing on me. And Plus, there's water involved in all of this. So having it done on this type of material, you never have to worry about them breaking down. And I'll explain later the reason why it was okay to put these templates on cardboard. They're master copies, but there's going to be master copies made from them.
Okay, and do different tiles get different templates, different types of templates? And Paul, I don't know if I really understand what you're asking there. Am I getting that right?
Yeah, I don't. The templates are the same for all materials. Right. We just trace our templates onto the material with a Sharpie in most cases. If it's a dark stone, you can use white duct tape, blue. The white duct tape is kind of the best because it stays on. It doesn't peel like the blue tape.
When water hits it.
Right, when the water gets on it.
Okay. Looks like that's all the questions we have right now.
So where's the other? It's right here. So the next one we're going to talk about repeating images and what you can do with them. So the first thing is drawing. I drew this image, okay? Then I know some of you know Shay, our son. He's a graphic designer, and he does a lot of the work. He does all the work for Dragonfly and for the Guild and for many of you. And we've been working over the last several months of just brainstorming, trying to come up with different ideas, different ways, just expanding on that method. The first method I showed you, that's always going to be there. That's just the standard for templating. It's easy. You can do it all yourself. You don't need anybody's help. But in this case, Shay created a vector file of that image, right? So then, because I wanted to see what this would look like with all four quarters together. So instead of drawing it, it's that one. I had Shay printed out on this vinyl material, which is very much like the stuff I just showed you. It might be a little more thin. It's a lot more transparent. But now I can see if I like it as an entire medallion. So now what I can do, you have another piece of,
Wait for it.
or here, let's use this one. I don't think you have a big enough one over there. Anyway, can you see this on there? It's not in the shot. I'm not there. There you go. So now one of the applications for something like this is you can use, let's say, this corner piece right here, this quarter of this circumference, in any format, size, scale. You could use this in the corners, on the four corners of a wall, the two upper corners. You could use them in the corners of a room with a border connecting them all. So there's many applications for just one quarter of this. You could take half of it and you could go above a door or in front of a door on a floor. You could take 3/4 of it and go around the corner on a floor, around any corner, or the obvious, a full medallion. So what's kind of cool about this is the time it saves and how much of this you have to draw to actually see what the end result might be. What's that?
The consistent joint size.
Right. Well, we'll do that on. This is actually an 1/8 of what I just showed you, but in a different design.
So Lee, so I understand correctly, that 1/8 is repeatable, like the 1/4 is repeatable?
Correct.
Okay.
Because now here is those 2 1/8 connected. So there's that. So all I had to do to get that far was draw this. That's it. And then just like the other one, we went ahead and printed it out with all 4 quarters put together. So it really saves drawing time. I mean, I have several of these where, and this is just a portion of one, but it takes how much time to draw and repeat your shapes. It's a lot of math. You can do it, yeah, and I've done it for, I don't know, 30 years. It's doable, but it takes a lot of time for you to finally see what the entire design will look like. So by having, and you wouldn't have it necessarily printed out on this material to see what it's going to look like. You can have that printed out on paper, because really the money's not in that. The money's in actually creating the vector file. Once that's done, those files can be used for anything, but we use them for templates. And you don't have to cut out every piece in this template. So if you look at this one, if you cut out this 1/8 right here, you cut these pieces, you cut 2 up and 2 upside down, and there's all the pieces in this medallion, and this is your master. Because it's repeating, you don't actually have to sit here and cut out every one of these if you don't want to, because it's a geometric, symmetrical design. Now, if it was mural form, free-flowing design, then yes, you would cut out every piece. So with those images, so it was really, you can hold it up. I could get from this to this rather quickly with these methods. Same with this. I went from this simple organic drawing to this in other words, it took a fraction of the time to actually make it, than it would otherwise take me to make and create the designs, cut the templates out, all of that. So it is a time saver, and it's a take on the old method of using vinyl.
Yeah, I have a couple of questions queued up here. Can I ask you a couple of questions?
Yes.
Going back a little bit to the paper template, do you use Sharpie, and does Sharpie stay on the template when it gets wet?
Yes. It stays on. Sometimes it stays on the materials you don't want it to stay on, if you know what I mean.
Okay.
But it's the best one. Can you turn that up?
So Sharpie is the way to go.
Yeah, we have a drawer probably filled with these because once they lose their point, they're good for other things. When they get blunt, you can use them for templates because you can make such a thick line you can cut on both sides of that line. And yep, and that's something we're going to talk about in the next segment too, is one of the issues with all templating is when you draw it, that joint between there is hard to get consistent. You have to either cut both sides of the line, or you cut the shape out, trace it on your material, and then cut to the inside of the line versus the outside of the line. That's great, but it could cause some inconsistencies. And my problem has always been, I cut down the line, my template, I trace it, and then I cut right down the center of the line. And more times than not, I spend a lot of time shaping because the pieces won't interlock unless they are perfect to the template. So if I would make a bigger grout joint, I would have less problems with that. But I don't know. I've always had that problem. It's like on any job, whatever the cut is, I almost know before I make the cut, it's going to be too tight. And that's just because I want it to fit so perfectly that I'm willing to go back and trim it or recut it or whatever to get it. And that kind of translates over into my artwork too, which is kind of a curse. But the last method really, is there any questions, Mark?
Yeah, I've got a couple more questions, and I know you'll be able to rattle this right off the top of your head. Several people are asking, what is a vector image?
It is a computer generated file of your drawing. So what he does is Shay goes in, and I think in both cases, the last templates I just showed you, yeah, and this one, what we do is we take a picture, a downshot picture, and the camera has a plumb and level on it. So it's not going to skew your image when you take the picture of it. If it does, it's so minimal that you would never pick it up. So after he takes that digital photo and downloads the photo, then he goes in and traces the entire piece and creates that vector file.
Traces it on the computer. Right.
So now all he's basically done is traced your piece of artwork. That's it. He's traced it, and now it's a file a digital file. So,
Be printed to any
and,
side.
and why that's really cool is it's great with the last method, but it's even more so with the next one we're going to talk about. But I've found that the time to pay him to create that file is much less than it would be for me to draw it out. And I already drew it. So why do I have to draw it again? Right. And cut all the pieces and all of that, because it's the other part about it is it shaves time off of the cost of the piece. And I laughed about that before because and making it more marketable. You can, if we can find ways to make our process faster, there's only certain places we can do that. We can't really do it so much in the fabrication of our pieces. That takes what it takes to get them right. That just comes with time and just getting better and better and better at it. That's how you save time in your fabrication. But in the other aspects of it, maybe there are some ways to cut out some hours where you could be working on something else. Shay's over there creating, or whoever's over there creating the file for this thing, and you're working on something else. Maybe whatever the last project, or working on the next up and coming project. So I just think it's helpful.
Okay, so you're multitasking and being cost efficient with your time and what you're able to do. So we do have a couple more questions here. One of them that relates to the vector file. So you don't actually have that software. You found a computer expert or artist that is able to do that for you. Take that picture, convert that file. So you don't have that set up in your shop. This is something you outsource to somebody else.
Yes. Our son Shay he and I worked kind of back and forth on how this might work in several different applications, and trying to perfect different ways. And I don't know that, I think you would have to do quite the volume to set yourself up with all the equipment that is needed to do this, because it's more than just a computer, a digital camera, and the skill and knowledge of how to utilize these tools. There's more to it than that. So I'm not sure it would be. I don't know about
the to a graphic designer.
Yeah, you're almost better just sourcing it out. I think it's more cost effective, I guess.
Okay, so we could find Shay or someone like Shay and work this electronically through email or something like that if we wanted to use that approach.
Right. You would either just roll up your template, put it in a tube and send it to the person, or you could actually, if you were good with a camera, you could take a picture of it, a digital picture. And if you sent him that, made a file, through the computer, if you sent that file to him of that picture, it very well could be that easy.
And it's very inexpensive.
Well, yeah, I guess it depends on the intricacy of the piece as far as what the cost would be for producing those files. Yeah, it's all about how complex the design is. But he just did one. He just did one for us. It's pretty extensive. And I would say, I think it was it like $250?
Yeah.
I think it was like $250. And I think that's for it printed out too.
Right.
$250 to create the file, print out the master, and I don't want to say the rest because I'll tell you that in a minute. it would take me, it would cost me 3 times that much.
At least 2 days.
Yeah.
And we're
to
paying
do,
him like he would be paid.
right. Oh, and yeah, we're charging, or he's charging us just like any other client. This is
What?
not
No discount?
no family discount. Well, we won't allow it. He's trying to run a business. Well, there's no discounts when you're 24 and trying to start your own business. You get
Absolutely.
yeah.
We understand that. A couple more quick questions, a little bit off the topic of templating here. Questions that pertain to a couple episodes ago. How much time, speaking of money, how much time does it take for you to create one of your pieces? And I'm sure scale or size or detail of the piece determines that also. Can you give us an idea of time?
Well, the drawings usually take me a couple of, you're not talking 8-hour days, but on and off, what I'll do is I'll bounce around from drawing to drawing. So, let's say you have, depending on the size of it, you have 4 to 6 hours in the actual creating of the artwork. The real time comes in of all creating the template by hand. That's where all the time comes in. There's a lot of time spent making the master copy and creating all of your templates. That takes longer than it does to draw it. In some cases, it takes longer. The fabrication's faster than that process because you're fine tuning all along the way. And the things they all can be designed to any budget and any level of details. So they're so different piece to piece. And that's how you market it too, by level of complexity. When you're meeting with a client for the first time, you want to read them. You should know something the minute you're on your way to that meeting. You know the address. If you know your region, you know the architecture of that area. You know the housing values in that area. You know a lot before you even walk in the door. So you have to think about all those things. And then when you get in there, it's time to keep your mouth shut and use your ears, because talking too much in an initial meeting, I've had it happen to me. They'll think, well, that's his style and that's the way he does it, and I don't like that style. So what I did is I misread somebody. I jumped. I should have just listened, absorbed the information, taken that back to the shop with me, and I told them that I'll get back to you in a day or so with some concepts. And then in that time frame, you may be talking to them a couple of times. Then they get to know you. So pushing too hard doesn't work, or presenting too many ideas can just confuse them. Keep it simple. Keep the design simple. You can always build on it. You can always get more complex along the way. But to keep it marketable, I think, and not to turn people off, because you always hear these designers talk about they want the certain aspect of a room to be the star. Wrong. When I have a client ask me, which it's happened here or there, ask me if the piece of art is going to, overtake the room. And what you have to do is paint a picture for them and start to talk about, well, not when you have beautiful light fixtures and beautiful window treatments and gorgeous hardware and all, right down to the finest details. Now everything in that room is beautiful. They all have interest. So once they start to see that, instead of just seeing an empty room with your piece of art, it starts to make sense. It starts to sink in, and now they're more open to moving forward with the design. Because people are inherently a little shy of making that big, bold statement. But when you explain to them that it's not the only thing happening in the room, there's much more to it than just that. So all those things really help in, I don't know, getting people to open up a little bit more to having artwork in their homes and not being afraid that it's too much.
Chris Pearson, thank you for that question. Lee, that was a terrific explanation there. We have one more question before you move on to the next segment. And this one was from our tools episode from probably Tom. Thanks for the question, Tom. What is the name of your ring saw?
It's the Gemini Revolution XT. Both of them. The twins.
Okay. Thanks for that. Thanks, Tom. And I think that's all our questions for now, Lee.
Okay. Well, I guess touching back to some of the things we were just talking about with the vector files. The last one we want to show you tonight is one that I did a little thing on a few months ago, but it's expanded. We've made some progress with this method and how to apply it. Yeah, we can put that here.
Thing's a little weighty.
Yeah, let's just bring it right here. Do you have a little thing you can put up underneath there? So Shay made he made this piece of art here, and it's more extensive than what you see, but this is the part that I wanted. So he designed the piece and then made it, obviously he had a vector file for it, and then he took it to his vinyl cutter. See, that's one of those things that's an investment too, to have all these things that it takes to get to this point. It's an investment, and I personally, I'd rather spend my time either drawing the picture or cutting the pieces or mounting the pieces than sitting on a computer or getting things printed out, cut out, all of that. So now he takes that file and he runs it through his vinyl cutter, so that what we can do is we can peel off the images, lay them on there, and cut to it on the saw. There's no tracing, there's no nothing. When I made this piece, the water did not do anything to these templates as far as it sticks. This is like a car grade vinyl, and it has like a 5-year lifespan, even in our lovely climate. So this is probably my favorite method, and I'll probably be doing much more of this. In fact, there's a couple of projects, Joshua, we know we're using it for. This image he did, which looks cool. You wouldn't even have to have them perfect. He just freehanded the joints, which I think looks awesome. They're not all perfect. They're not all the same size. It just looks more organic. But what we've started doing now is taking the image, and what he does is he draws with it on the computer. It's a 16th of an inch wide rectangle that he draws every joint with. So now when he cuts that template out, every joint size in the entire thing is a 16th. Your drawing can be tight, just a pencil line. That's it. So once he runs that down the pencil line, your joint is created for you. There's no cutting inside the line. There's no double cutting the template on both sides of the line to get a joint. And the other thing we're going to do is this vinyl, it's fine. But when you get to really some of these really fine points like that, it can, if it hits the stone or material too quick and sticks, you could skew the shape. So we're upgrading the mill of the vinyl from now on, so that obviously it's more rigid, and when you get to these fine points, when you pull it off there, it holds its shape. And we are using this for all those instruments you saw. There will be a vector file made for those and more, done in the fashion I just explained. So our biggest challenge is getting a dozen instruments or so, getting them, getting the client to say, yes, I love that one. That's always fun. That's a process. That's our biggest challenge, is drawing as many instruments as possible and getting her to accept 10 of them out of the 15 or whatever it is.
How are those instruments going to be? What's that project?
Well, the thing is, the time, I mean, you saw how many there's going to be way more instruments. The time it would take us to create templating for those instruments that we are going to be installing in a foyer, so that those are all going to be laying on the floor like the band said, we're done for the night, and that's where they stored their instruments, but they weren't gentle about it. They're just basically, all the instruments are going to look like they're tossed into the foyer, overlapping each other, and that's why the perspective of them is so important. They can't be pancakes. They can't be flat images, one-dimensional images. They have to look like they're turned, laying over the top of each other at different angles. But the time I would pay a graphic designer any day to do vinyl templates for all of that, and I can spend my time fabricating. The fabricating is going to be really intense on some of these pieces. So, and in this case, I didn't have a master copy, so I just did a shadow drawing of the piece. But now, when we have, I don't know if we need masters for the instruments or not. They're easy enough to print out. That's, once again, the work is in creating the images. So we can have master copies made on any material we want out of all those images, then have them all cut out of vinyl and produce it that way. I'm pretty excited about that process. I think it's gonna just the holding templates down and getting the tracing of your template on the material exact for every piece, and not using a new Sharpie every time you draw a template, so that you have that perfect line.
especially if you're doing interlocking pieces.
Exactly. Just like Maria said, when you're doing interlocking pieces, you have to be really, really precise, which is fine. And we can do it. We can do anything. All of us who do this, there's no limits to what you can do. It's just how long is it going to take you to do it? And how much can you actually charge for the piece? Obviously, we all know it's only worth what they're going to pay, right? Well, if we can find ways to speed up the process a little bit, I don't think I've ever been paid fully for every minute of my time on any piece of art. Maybe this could help me get closer to being paid, for all the drawings that nobody ever sees, all the work that goes into it that the client never even knows happened. All they care about is pretty pictures, and most people don't really get what someone puts into it and how time consuming that could be.
This is really informative, Lee. We have a few questions for you. Maybe would this be a good time to ask them?
Certainly.
When you were explaining that shadow piece, it helped when Maria held that up close to the camera there. Could we see that again?
It's kind of light. It's just a pencil shadow line.
Terrific. Yeah, I think we get the idea there now, and they're numbered.
Mm-hmm. That's why the master copies are so important. Everything's numbered and color coded, so you know exactly where everything goes. That's good.
Wonderful. Thank you, Maria. Lee, and I've got a follow on to this question from Chris Kane. He's asking, is each piece you create a one of a kind? Is it a unique original, or do you ever repeat a pattern or a whole design? And I know we saw some pattern repetitions and you showed us how to be efficient with that. He might be asking, once you make that whole, do you repeat that one over and over again? Or do you set that aside and make a unique piece every single time?
It's in our contract that we would never reproduce a piece of art that we've made for you. So once we've done it, that's it. So yeah, it's kind of sad that you go through all this work and now you have these templates, you have a file. There's other ways to use those files, by the way, but yeah, it's not a mass produced system that we have here. It's a one and done. So it just shows you how much goes into creating these things. But I don't think we've ever been asked to like repeat anything anyway. Most people want, sure, I guess I could go and market. I could save a lot of money. I probably could make some money by taking, I save templates. I don't know why. They're not getting reused, but I have them all over the place.
Well, it's not like we're selling we're not making tabletops and selling them on Etsy or Pinterest, or we're selling it for a client.
Yeah.
By a client's idea.
And that's one of the reasons they are they're willing to pay for it too. They understand that it'll never happen again. They're getting a one of a kind piece of art.
You have
unique to them,
You have replicated, like with the one we talked about before, where you have for that same client a full-size medallion, a quarter, a 3/4, different forms of the same design in one project.
Well, yeah, those corner pieces, corner treatments, those, yeah. Well, that she basically owns the design. You know what I mean? Once all that's produced, in my eyes, they own it. They're the ones who paid all the time to make it. And I don't have, we'll post some of those pictures. I don't have them, but we've applied those corner templates, 3/4, halves, entire medallions. We've applied that in real life, and it can be pretty cool. And we'll probably go ahead and post some of those tomorrow.
Lee, let me ask a question here. So you make all those templates, the customer picks one of them. Do they own all of those other templates too?
No.
Okay. Would you ever?
We only produce the ones that are
Approved.
anyway.
Sure.
We'll draw a bunch, and then they approve a certain portion, and then those are the ones that are actually produced into files and templates.
Would you ever think of making a book of all of those that aren't the ones that were purchased by a customer? Making a book, putting a book together of some type, and
yeah.
I mean, I think you could do something with that because you have such beautiful work there that, I mean, making 15 templates, they pick one. Now you got 14 designs that you could do something with. I mean, I'm just trying to be creative with the beautiful artwork that you've started,
Yeah, it's true. I have a lot of templates actually cut down, ready to transfer onto any material. They're ready to go. So much of the work is already done that are not owned by anybody but us. So yeah, I always wondered what I might be able to do with some of those, because somebody may be interested. But,
well, coming from distribution, Lee, we would have books on different kind of, things that could be purchased or whatever. And I mean, if you could put together something that could be a creative book, and you could maybe have that at distributors across the country and be able to say, listen, these are templates, colors we can work with, right? We can work with colors on so many of them and what you want to do. And maybe you could find a way to increase, I mean, I don't know how much time you have, but obviously, putting something out there that you could actually recreate simply in a simpler fashion. I don't mean simple, and I don't mean it the way it sounded, but in a simpler fashion, because you have them already put together, where it comes down to a customer looking at a book going, man, I would love to have this in my entryway, and but here's the colors I would like to use, right? And then you could work with them on colors, and have prices all set already in there that they know what they're getting into, and simplify the process a little bit, as opposed to me coming to you and saying, hey, I want a unique piece of artwork only for me. It's my piece, just an idea.
No, it's a very good point. It's definitely something to ponder. Yeah.
And I'll partner with you on that. And I only take 10%.
We'll need to negotiate.
Good night, ladies and gentlemen.
We'll need to negotiate that, Jim.
I know we can.
No witnesses. Hey, a follow-up to Chris's question, Lee, is, do those unique pieces, do you title them? Do they have names?
Yeah, some of them do. Some of them are inspired by the client.
What's that?
But a lot of them are inspired by us here, and we don't share those. Well, this is
suffering.
Yeah, exactly. This damn thing, things like that. But this one is the Muse. That's her title, and there's a whole story behind her, which we'll have to save for another day. But yeah, they all all of our templates. We put them in bags, and there's a title on the bag. There's everything from, I don't know, Metal Lisa to elephant this, or it's,
serpent.
Oh, it's all over the place. Yeah.
All right, that's awesome. A couple of questions here from Wayne Shore. Wayne's asking, do you create a lot of display pieces for clients opposed to pieces that are part of the whole tile assembly installation?
Most of them are part of the install.
Okay.
Most of them are integrated into a wall, a floor, a backsplash. As far as hanging pieces, or we've done tables and mirrors and wall hangings, but most of it is installed in a home forever. You know, it's not they're not ones you take with you.
All right. So great. So once in a while you do make and sell a display piece.
Oh yeah.
Some sort.
Yeah.
Okay.
A certain percentage of it is that, but for the most part, that'll change over time. It'll be more of it'll be more of the display pieces. When I'm never going to retire, so I guess
And you can't get on your knees anymore.
Slow down, right?
Right.
That's what the apprentice is for.
Yeah, exactly.
That's right. Grow the staff. All right. One more question from Paul. A great follow-on to the vector image question, I think. Paul is asking, are the computer files able to be converted to water jet cut files?
Yes, they are. You can, they can be, they are the same files that a CNC machinist might use. We're gonna in fact, we're gonna work with somebody that's going to cut out a piece of MDF for us of one of our pieces to inset it into the wood. And all they're going to do is cut out the silhouette so that we can inset our pieces. But now I don't know. Now, as far as having, I would never like have somebody else cut the pieces on a CNC. That's, to me, that now you're losing something. There's imperfections in what we do. It's inherent in handmade artwork. So as far as, if you want to use water jetting for something, I can see like some of the water jet medallions that we've installed and designed. That's what that is. That's that thing, and it's for that home. And personally, I wouldn't want to sit there and make all those little curly cues. It wouldn't. We would never be able to compete anyway with water jet medallions, and they look exactly like what they are. But you know the difference between hand cut and water jet. It's very obvious, and to each client, whatever they want, I don't care. But those are two totally different things.
Okay. That's a great answer and a great summary for all these questions. That's all of the questions we have right now. What do you have left to present?
I think we've pretty much covered it. I just wanted to share all of these things we've been working on, and we're going to continue to work on them. And if we come up with some new methods or better methods, or if anybody else out there has thoughts about making these things better or being more productive, let us know. We all work together. These are just things, these are things that we have tried, that we do. What's that?
We're getting better at posting on Tile Trades Arts Field to the more step-by-steps, more progression pics.
Yeah, and I just want to encourage you all to just, that's what this stuff is. That's what these things are about. Is the more of us that are out there doing it, the more marketable it's going to be. People are going to, it's just like It's just like the neighbor that has the beautiful foyer, and then Susie or Bob come over and go, "Wow, I gotta have that." It's the same difference. It's just in artwork. So if there's ways we can help people, show them methods, and get them started and excited about doing it, it's good for the future of what we do, so that this art form doesn't fade. We're working, we're all working very hard at trying to educate this and get to as many people as we can and help in any way we can. Because there's a historical value in what we're doing that we can't allow to be lost or forgotten.
Lee, what a terrific presentation. That was just incredible. Thank you very much, sir.
And thank you and everyone for being here.
And Lee, do you have any final words of wisdom for us this evening?
I want to thank you and NTCA for all of your support, and just let everybody out there know that we're all here for you. If there's anything you need, any questions you have, any help we can offer at all, don't be afraid to call us, PM us, whatever. We're all here. And I want to leave you with one last template. It's a template that Joshua and I worked on for coverings 20, which was a great success. But we'll leave you with, that's our presentation on templating tonight. Have a great night.
That is absolutely amazing. Coverings 20, that was last year. Coverings 21 is coming up. Everybody stay tuned for more information on what's happening with coverings. Lee and the team have some terrific things in store for you, right, Lee?
Yep. And let's not forget, let's not leave before we talk to Angie.
That's right. We're going to talk to Angie. I'm going to give a little bit of a rundown for what's coming up, and Angie's going to tell us a cliffhanger here right at the end. So hang on. We do have some more roundtables coming up that I want you to attend. Our next one is on February 24th with NTCA's Vice President, Sam Bruce. Sam is a really cool guy. If you don't know him yet, join us on February 24th. March 10th, another cool person, Matt Wellner. Matt Wellner is a director of the NTCA. We're going to talk with Matt and hear some great things from him. Then our next roundtable is on March 16th. And here to tell you about session 6 is Angie.
All right. I don't know if you guys have been following the Venice mural that I've been making. I'm doing a glass, it's completely glass mural of Venice, and it's 12 foot by 4 foot-ish. And I'm making it, I see Tom over there holding up a fish that I made for him. That's one of my favorite projects. But so anyways, what I'm going to do is show you guys some of the process, and I finished it today. So it's completely finished today. Woo-hoo! It's a big day. And I will be taping it, separating the sections, and shipping it off to Sal de Blasi. And he will be doing the install. So I'm trying to get him to install it before the next roundtable, so that, you know, no pressure on Sal, but so that he could also join in as a guest and talk about the installation part. So it's going to be kind of a quick overview of the whole mural process. I have a little sneak peek. If you guys can see, it's a video that I took today.
So
Kind of hard to see.
So cool.
But it's pretty much done. And this is really bad lighting. But, and there's Sal and his wife. Yeah, so I'll put them in the mural as well. And this is more of a freestyle type drawing. It's not drawing, but mural. I did have a template, but it's a whole different process than what we talked about before. So hopefully we can touch on just the different steps that I took to create it. So that's next time.
That's
Hope to
next
see you
time.
guys there. Yeah.
Angie, thank you very much. As a quick reminder, everyone, and to answer your question, Paul, who's asking what time these events are at, the ones with Sam Bruce and Matt Wellner, those are on Wednesdays at 1 o'clock Central Time. Adjust for your own time zone, 1 o'clock Central. These Artisan Edition sessions, they're at 6 p.m. Central. And they're on Tuesdays at 6 p.m. Central. Once again, I want to thank our amazing Artisan team. I want to thank Angie. I want to thank Joshua. I want to thank the Dragonfly team, Lee, Jane, Maria. You're all so awesome. The NTCA team for helping us out tonight. Jim, Rob, Randy, Leslie Godden was here. We couldn't do this without all of you. Looking forward to seeing you next time. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you guys.
you.
Bye.
Good night.
Bye,
Night.
guys.
And
Awesome.
we'll be wrapping.
Yeah, we will. We're